Miami mercenaries, really, that's the double M. Born baller, baby boy, I be above the rim.
What's good, family? It's your boy Just Blaze, host of the best NBA pod in the game, Above the Rim. Keep it locked each week and join myself and a special guest as we tackle the latest rumblings in the league. If it's happening in the NBA, you know I got you covered. Make sure you subscribe on all platforms and leave that 5-star review. Let's get it.
Bring it to the meal, man. Bring it to the meal, man, and pay me, man. Bring it to the meal, man. I'm the mayor, man. Bring it to the mother meal. Chris Middleton. Holiday.
This guy right here, PJ. Hey, PJ, open the door, please. PJ. Hey. Sorry, guys. Hey, bring your shoe. This guy today, he wore a 250,000 pair of shoe. He had real diamonds. I promise you. How much did it cost? Like, yeah. Basically a house in your feet.
Can I get him?
Hey, let me get them now. Let me get them too.
Talk about it.
You are now tuned in to Above the Rim.
Family, welcome back to another edition of Above the Rim. Brought to you as always, it's your boy, Justin, aka Just Blaze. Family, you know the drill. To get in contact with me, you can always hit me up. Follow me on Twitter at JustBlaze_513. On IG at JustBlaze513. On Facebook, search Above the Rim Podcast. Also, email the show as well. Above the Rim NBA Podcast at gmail.com. Tap in and leave the family a voicemail. The line is always open. 908-718-1592. All voicemails, you know, of to be featured on a show. Send in your hot takes, your free agent predictions coming up, what topics you want to hear, what teams you want to talk about, all that good stuff. Subscribe on all platforms, family. You already know. Leave me a review on iTunes. Appreciate the love as always. Stock up on your merch as always. Let's get into it, man. Solo episode this week. You know why. I had to take a couple of days off to unwind, to adjust, to recuperate, get over it, and then appreciate the run that the Suns had this season and appreciate this NBA season as a whole, because it was a good season, man. I'm not going to lie. I know it's over now. It was a very short, condensed season. A lot of teams didn't handle it very well. There was a lot of injuries. It was a very up and down season, battle of attrition. But overall, I think it was a good season, man. I think it was very exciting. I said earlier in the season that there was no official favorite of the year. I felt like everyone can be beat during the playoffs, especially during the season as well. And if you were to look for someone that actually chose the Bucks and the Suns to be in the NBA Finals early in the year, I'll tell you that they're lied, because you know that's not true. So it was a great NBA season overall. Definitely not happy with the outcome, of course. I'm definitely pissed off about that. But I came on here to give y'all a real, man. Real for the streets. Because I know the streets been looking for me, man, after the Suns lost the NBA Finals to the Milwaukee Bucks. I was mad, like I said before. I had to take a couple of days to recuperate after that loss. I had a lot riding on this finals, man. I'm not gonna lie. The prophecy almost came true. Call the Heat going to the finals last year. Call the Suns going to the finals this year. Almost came true with my boy Cp3 getting his first title, but definitely didn't work out that way. And as basketball fans, though, all of us who pay attention to this game, who have been watching this game for years, this Suns and Bucks NBA Finals proves to me that every team in the league does really have a chance to win it all at any point or stage of the season. I don't want to hear shit about injuries this season, because every team or every eventual champion has to go through some sort of injury help or some sort of injury help from the other team to help them get towards the top. Every year, you can go down the list. Every single year, the eventual champion has had to play a team with someone else missing, a key contributor to the opposing team missing. So this year was no different than any other year. And if you a lot of people say that happened for the Suns. That's the reason why they got to the finals. And you can also say that for the Bucks. The Bucks also played some injured teams as well. They played the Heat without Oladipo in the first round. And second round, clearly, obviously Kyrie went out. James Harden was hobbled. They had to play against KD all alone. Then after that, when they played against the Hawks, DeAndre Hunter was out too, also as well. He was also a sneaky, important piece for the Atlanta Hawks as well. So every team plays teams that are injured or that are a little hurt, that are a little banged up, especially that late in the season, because it's always a battle of attrition, man. I always say the healthiest team wins, and that seems to be the case once again. So we'll see, man. But talking about this NBA Finals, two homegrown teams, like I said before, built their teams the right way. The Bucks drafted Giannis. The Suns drafted Devin Booker, Ayton, acquired CP3. Bucks acquired Drew Holiday, PJ Tucker, a couple of the pieces that helped them to get over the top. They're the Bucks organization as a whole, their first title since 1971. But if I'm being truthful to myself here, evaluating this finals, man, I still feel like the Suns should have won this series, man. I personally felt like they were the better team, but I don't think they played like the better team in this particular series. So let's break down some of the keys to the series for me, watching this finals. I'll keep it a stack, man. The Bucks, they were definitely ready for this moment. I can't deny that. I feel like it was definitely their time to win. Everyone's story is written differently. The Bucks went through their growing pains for 2 years now. They lost to the Raptors 2 years ago in the conference finals. They got spanked by the Heat last year in the bubble, beating them in the second round of semifinals. This year, they took the Game 7. It took 7 games to beat the Nets. They won that on the road. Big time for the Heat. They had to have their growing pains, man. So, and in this series as well, Game 6, closeout game, 50-piece by Giannis. It was a phenomenal performance that I can't deny. He came at Ayton's head all series, and he just couldn't respond. And there was a lot of factors that went into that, but we'll break that down a little bit later. But to me, there was a couple of things that this series came down to. Number one, it came down to better execution down the stretch, especially for the Bucks. Physicality, fatigue. Milwaukee was just sensational defensively throughout the whole series. Game 1 and 2, they were getting their feet wet defensively. They hung their hats all season on the defensive end. That's how they got by the Nets. That's how they got through the Hawks playing on the defensive side of the ball. And this series was no different. They were exceptional from start to finish. Impact plays in the fourth quarter is what got it done. Middleton hit some phenomenal shots. Both Drew Holiday and PJ had some monster defensive plays in crucial moments. I cannot deny that. The rip, the strip, what was that, Game 5? Basically won this series for the Bucks, in my opinion. When Giannis had that block, that was also very crucial. That was Game 4. That was a staple defensively for the Bucks. After that, when Drew Holiday had the rip on Booker, that was another defensive staple play for the Bucks. And I talked about those impact plays, man. They're essential in a series, most importantly. And basically, when we looked at the series, the Bucks, they won it on the physicality, on the physical end, and they won the rebounding battle. Now, when we look at how both teams matched up inside, as a whole, the Bucks are bigger, but the Suns do have DeAndre Ayton. But also, a lot of people are forgetting this as well, that the Suns were actually missing their backup big in this series. Dario Saric, he was low-key a huge loss for the Suns, especially in this particular series, because he was the Suns' most adequate backup at the 5 that they could use to box out to grab some rebounds. Because if we looked at the series, every game aside from, let's say, games 1 and 2, the Suns were just dominating in the paint, play after play after play after play. The Bucks were the number 1 rebounding team in the playoffs. The Suns were top 5, so they were no slouch on the rebounding side of the ball, but they were no match for the Bucks, especially in this series. Ayton looked fatigued. The Bucks, and if I remember, Game 6, the Bucks and the Suns, the rebounding battle, I believe the Bucks won by 20. in Game 6. So that was a crucial factor. I mean, that was the Suns were just way too small. Point blank, period. Aside from DeAndre Ayton. Jay Crowder, 6'6". Mikal Bridges, 6'6". Booker, 6'5". CP, 6 foot. Ayton, 6'11", 7'1". Our only big. Everyone else was a wing. Aside from Cameron Payne and CP. So we're just too small. And the Bucks, listen, give them credit, man. They used their physicality to their advantage throughout the series. And it was smart. The Suns are a finesse team, a jump shooting team. They don't draw too many fouls throughout the season. But when they do get to line, they do make a majority of them. That Portis, Giannis, PJ, Middleton, Drew lineup, I felt like was just a little bit too much for the Suns. They were just too big. And that was a lineup that Coach Bud, he used a lot in the series, especially in crucial points. And that was really what got them through the series. So rebounding, man, it was essential. It was important. And what contributed to the Suns losing that rebounding battle, I feel like, was fatigue. And I hate to use the fatigue factor, but I think that it was a factor in this series, man. It only matters to me because I feel like the fatigue affected their ability to box out for those crucial rebounds. For those crucial rebounds. I think it was Game 5 or Game 4. They basically lost. Was it? Yeah, it was Game 5. Had another opportunity to take a last game-winning shot or a last-second shot, and they didn't get the offensive rebound over the Giannis missed free throw. And that was a really blown opportunity for the Suns. And I feel like they just weren't focused on boxing out. And to me, that's no excuse. It was a damn blunder. They should be more focused on boxing out if they knew that was going to be their Achilles heels coming into the season. And if they did their homework and they looked at the past couple of games prior to that, the Suns, they beat them every game in the rebounding battle. So another fact in the series, I'm going to be honest here, man. I was a little disappointed in the inconsistency I saw from Devin Booker and I saw from Chris Paul in this particular series. Both played great at different times of the series, but it clearly wasn't enough. Overall, their numbers look good for the series. CP at 21 and 8, over 50% from the field, over 50% from 3. Book had 28 and 4, 45% shooting. But for a few of these games, I would say, especially the losses, their buckets weren't timely. Too few timely buckets. And I can attribute some of that to fatigue as well, because a lot of those timely buckets do come in the fourth quarter. They do come in the clutch time. That's still no excuse. They just should have got it done. But, man, I wanted more out of these guys towards the end of the game, man. That's why I got to give credit to the Bucks. They played exceptional, phenomenal defense, man. They made a conscious effort to take away those pick and roll looks that Chris Paul got throughout the playoffs. They forced Book to play a lot of ISO one-on-one basketball and just live with the results. When we look at Book next year, I would say learning how to control an offense without actually scoring might be his next leap next season. Using his scoring presence, creating looks for others by initiating the offense. We already know he's very patient with his shots. Gets a lot of elevation on his shots. Great strength to finish with contact. But I think his initiating his offense, his creating off the dribble for others, probably should take a next leap forward next season. I would like to see that out of Devin Booker. As far as CP goes, he was the streetz MVP this year. He led the team from the ashes. He led two teams from the ashes in back-to-back years, being primarily the best player on the team at 36 years of age. I got to give him some love for that, man. Battled some playoff demons, got hurt, came back, beat both LA teams. Not gonna lie, I was definitely a little bit pissed off when I saw Scott Forster on the docket for Game 6 in the NBA Finals. I couldn't believe it, man. And I can't believe the NBA had the nerve, actually, to put Scott on 2 games in the NBA Finals. Disrespect.
So disrespectful.
Very disrespectful, but hey, still lost. Ayton, got bullied in the finals a little bit. I'm proud and disappointed in Ayton as a whole for this entire playoff run. On one hand, he exceeded expectations this year in terms of impact. He's realizing his potential as a big man, learning how to get paid. You don't have to score a lot to have a major impact on the game. You can play with force. You can be a big body in the paint, learn how to pick your spots, deep ceiling in the post, deep ceiling in the paint early in the shot clock, being available for those lobs, having your hands ready. He was exceptional on all of those fronts throughout the playoffs, and he played better than a lot of people expected him to. But on the other hand, I don't think he did enough homework in this NBA Finals series, especially against Giannis. He allowed him, when I looked at how he played Giannis, he allowed him to have a running start damn near every single possession, every single offensive possession for Giannis. He should have watched more tape of that Nets series, how Blake Griffin defended him, and should have emulated that. Blake Griffin, he really got up on Giannis a lot. He took some of the blows. You have to take some of those because Giannis is a very physical player on the offensive end, so you're going to have to take some of those blows to the chest. But you got to eat those, man. Can't let him get a running start, telegraph his shots, all his passes, all his drawing fouls and getting to the basket. So I feel like Ayton could have done a better job in that way. But overall, I can't be too mad at how he played, man. Throughout the playoffs, he averaged 15-11, over 65%. Only a few plays. I think he may be the only player, or maybe one of two players to average 15 and 10 on 65% shooting in a single playoff. So he actually did pretty excellent. I can't be too mad at Ayton. I just wish he played better in the finals, which is okay. He's a young guy. His first finals, first playoff run, he might have gotten a little fatigued. Bridges played a little bit, played better in NBA Finals. He could have played a little bit better, but he might have been fatigued also as well. The next leap for him next year is shooting off the dribble. How to score from the triple threat. Maybe a shot or two from the mid-range can really excel his game and take him to the next level. Probably should score maybe about 12 to 15 a night. Maybe next year we'll take him to another level. So shout out to Ayton, Bridges. They all played well. And Booker as well in their first playoff run. And as far as the Suns go, by the way, all this stacked Western Conference Finals talk that I'm hearing the media talk about when they're referring to the Suns' chances next year, well, stacked. It's competitive, but stacked. Come on now. Let's not act like any of these teams in the Western Conference are not beatable the same way they were this year. Majority of these Western Conference rivals are going to have the same core rosters next year with minor tweaks. As I've said earlier in this season, back in December, January, or whatever it was, calling the Suns to the Western Conference Finals, every team is beatable, East and West. There's no juggernaut in the NBA. Yes, there are some teams that are more talented than others, but let's not act like any one of these teams can be beaten, or any one of these teams don't have holes in their roster. Every team can be beaten at the right time. It just takes the right mix of players, the right weaknesses, and the right cohesion with an opponent. So as far as some of those naysayers go, the Suns absolutely can be right back in the same position next year with a few minor tweaks, retooling their roster. And you can say that for any team in the playoff hunt. It really only takes the right move, the right cohesion move for a team to make a run. So the right breaks as well for a team to make a run. So do I think the Suns can be in the playoffs? Obviously, yes. Do I think they can be back in the finals next year? Yes. I really do. I really think they will retool. I think CP, we're going to talk about it a little bit, but I do think CP will re-sign with the Suns this summer. I think, of course, they're going to extend Ayton, extend Bridges, and I think they're going to retool a little bit, man. There's a couple of players on my radar that I would like the Suns to acquire. Nerlens Noel is one of them. I forgot who else I had on my list, a couple of guys, but I'm going to talk about that in my free agency episode coming up. But there's a couple of guys that the Suns can acquire that are very gettable, I would say, in free agency that's going to help them out come next year. So I think the Suns are going to be better next year. I think another year, another maturation year for the rest of the young core. I think it's going to be great for them. So it's going to be a bloodbath again in the Western Conference next year. So we'll see how that turns out. As far as Giannis goes, what does this title mean for his career? What does it mean for his legacy moving forward? It's huge. Obviously, a title is huge for any potential all-time great career. It's big time even for him, even if it's the only one that he gets in his career. I would say, I'm looking at it right now on the lowest of keys. I think Giannis is void of slander, I would say, for the foreseeable future, especially right now. He played well when it mattered most. Can't say anything about Giannis. 28, 12, and 5 for this playoffs. Exceptional, phenomenal numbers as we are accustomed to seeing from Giannis. The first player, in NBA history to win a Most Improved Player award, MVP award twice, Defensive Player of the Year, Finals MVP, and All-Star Game MVP. So shout out to Giannis. He's had a hell of a year, hell of a 2 years in this league. So you got to give him enough respect, enough credit. Can't really slander him too hard, I would say, for the foreseeable future. But with all that being said, there's still a lot of recency bias going on with Giannis, I would say. Definitely because he won a title, which is okay. But there definitely is a little bit of recency bias. And I'll help y'all clear some of these up. Now, is Giannis the best player in the world? No, but that's not a diss. Is he robbing on his team? No. Can he be the number one player on a championship team? Yes, clearly. He's got to have a clutch perimeter player with him. He's had one, Chris Middleton. He came up, he stepped up in big moments. Now, another topic of conversation that I've been seeing lately since the NBA Finals is Giannis already the best power forward ever? Please stop. I think that's very disrespectful to a lot of the power forwards ahead of him. Now, can he get there? Of course he can. His career is not over. Giannis is 26 or 27 or something like that. He's plenty of years left to go. Can he get there? Of course. Is he there already? No way. Absolutely not. Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett are the total package. Giannis is not the total package yet. He's a force. He's formidable, but not the total package. He's not better than Dirk, not better than Karl Malone, not better than Charles Barkley. Hell, he might not even be better than Chris Webber to me yet. Now, I like Giannis. I know he has the hardware right now, plays exceptional on both sides of the ball, but I'm going to keep it a stack with you, man. Give me a prime Chris Webber right now over Giannis, real talk. C-Web was elite. Don't sleep on Chris Webber. That combo, size, skill, shooting, athleticism, and his passing, underrated. To me, C-Web over Giannis. Now let's see how the rest of his career pans out. But Giannis, man, he still has a lot more to go. But he's been excellent this far, and you can't hate on that resume. Thus far, 26 years old, 27 years old, whichever one he is, resume is superb right now. But Giannis, got to work on that jump shot this summer, which I'm sure you will. I wanted to go over my top 10 players at the end of this season going into next season. I know a lot of people have been throwing out their lists. It's a very early list because we know clearly it's before free agency, before the NBA draft, well before the next year starts. But I feel like top 10 players is very subjective right now, especially right now because of how the NBA Finals went. So there have been a lot of different takes that I've been seeing, but I'm going to run down my top 10 for the streets, man, because I think mine is going to differ from a lot of people. So I'm going to just run down this list for you. Top 10 players, my top 10 players going into next season, currently right now. Number 10. I'm going to go with the beard, James Harden at number 10 for me. Listen, James Harden can be vaulted in the top 5. He can be higher than that. But I didn't like how he came into the season last year, out of shape. He's probably going to come back into next season in better shape, but I didn't like how he came into season last shape. I felt like he had a different role with the Brooklyn Nets, but still a great role for him. He played exceptional. So I'm going to go James Harden, number 10. Number 9, no disrespect to the MVP, but Joker, I'm going to have at number 9. He's been exceptional this year. Clearly, he won MVP. But he did show that he also needs another perimeter player with him as well to help him advance and to help him get to that next gear. So, but no disrespect at all to the MVP. He had a phenomenal year. Number 8, Jason Tatum. Top 8 player going into next season. Hear me out, man. Career high this season in points and rebounds. He had he will have an increased role next year. New coach, Kemba Walker's no longer there. It looks like they're trying to move Marcus Smart. I think Tatum is going to take more of a playmaking role next year. So I think his assists will go up. Remember last year he was my MVP pick, and I'm doubling down. Maybe a preview into next year. I think my man JT, he's my pick for MVP next year too as well. So I think he's gonna ball out, man. You see what he did in his playoffs. Only one round, of course, but he did average, I believe it was over 30 or something like that. He had a 50 ball. So JT, I got him as number 8. Number 7, I'm gonna go with Dame Lillard. Phenomenal year, exceptional shooter, exceptional scorer. We're going to talk about him a little bit. It's going to be interesting what's going to happen to him this summer, but I don't believe he's going to be traded. I still think he's going to at least give the Blazers one more year to see if they can retool, to see if they can improve that team. After him, I'm going to go Luka. Number 6, exceptional, of course. I don't think much needs to be said there. Number 5, I'm going to go Steph. Phenomenal year this year, of course, as well. Led the league in scoring, led the league in threes as usual. Still an unstoppable offensive force, especially from the three-point line. Warriors are going to have to retool next year as well. They're going to be making some noise next year in the West. Number 4, got Kawhi. Now, this one was tough for me because Kawhi now, he's going to have to deal with some injury. He didn't tear his ACL, but it did say he damaged his ACL a little bit. It was his ACL or meniscus. I believe his meniscus. I don't want to be wrong on that, but it was one of them. But next year, he might miss a little bit of time going into next season. That's going to be interesting how that plays out. I got him at number 4. For the top 3, number 3, I got Giannis. I know a lot of people are putting Giannis as the number 1 player in the league right now because he won the finals, was finals MVP. I'm not going to be mad at anyone if they really want to do that. But for me, he's not the best player in the league. I'm sorry. He still has things he needs to work on in his game, as all players do, of course. No knock against him for that. But to me, he's not the best player in the world. He's definitely... To me, he has to be top 5, clearly. Does he have to be top 3 to everyone? I would say 90% of the list he has to be top 3. I wouldn't be mad at someone if he wasn't in their top 3, but to me, I feel like 90% of the list has to have him at least in top 3. He's been a phenomenal force on both sides of the ball. Obviously, he won the Defensive Player of the Year award. So clearly he impacts the game on both ends. We see what he did in the finals. Multiple games with multiple blocks. The last game, I think he had 5 blocks. I believe in game 6. So Giannis, you got to give him his love. Obviously, clearly, we just saw that. So I'm going to give him the 3rd spot. Number 2, I'm going to go with LeBron James. I have to bump him down to number 2. 37 years old. Career low. 45 games he played this season. I definitely think he's going to rebound. He's going to have an excellent year next year. He's going to play a lot better than he did this season, even though he did play well before the injury. After the injury, I never felt like he really got his timing correct. That's why I definitely knew the Suns, it was a strong chance of the Suns taking out the Lakers because I did know that LeBron, he didn't have his proper footing. And he didn't really he didn't have enough time, I would say, to recover in the way that he wanted to coming back from that injury. But going into next season, I'm going to have to give him the number 2 spot going into next season. Number 1, Kevin Durant, obviously. Listen, man, KD, this man is phenomenal. The most gifted offensive player in the league right now. Unstoppable, 7'2" guard, as I like to call him. He's unguardable, man. He's unguardable, Kevin Durant. And he showed in this playoffs he's unguardable. He was literally a long, big toe away probably from being in the finals. If it wasn't for KD's long big toe, big foot, and he didn't step on that 3-point line, the Nets would probably be in the finals. I'm going to keep it above. So Kevin Durant stepped up when it matters most, as he normally and usually does. You can count on him. And, actually, during this playoff run, I was mad at a lot of Twitter people for actually doubting KD that he couldn't win one game. Was it in Milwaukee? Game 6, I believe, was in Milwaukee. That he couldn't go in there and win that game to make sure the series goes 7. KD, come on now. Best player in the world going into next year. I'm not going to lie. Honorable mention, my top 10 list, AD. Had to leave him off this year. He had a little bit of a down year. He can easily bump into that top 10 next season. We'll see how he bounces back. I think he needs to come back a little bit slimmer next year. He looked a little bit heavier going into this year. He did bulk up, put on some muscle. But if he's going to put on that muscle, to me, he's got to at least play center a little bit more if he's going to bulk up a little bit more. But I feel like he should slim down just a tad to get his agility back, to start beating guys, especially big, tall forwards or centers that's guarding, beating them off the dribble as well, because he can do that. So he can easily vault in the top 10. Joel Embiid, I was sorry to leave him out, but it was tough. I would say maybe more health goes into my ranking of Embiid not being top 10, but that was tough. Let's talk about free agency a little bit. Coming up August 2nd in, what's that, about a week and a half? Almost 2 weeks from now. August 2nd, free agency starts. It's going to be crazy. There's going to be some wheeling and dealing, some moving and grooving going on. Top 5 teams with cap space going into the summer. Knicks, Spurs, the Thunder, the Heat, and the Raptors. So a lot of, especially I think all 5 of these teams are definitely going to be looking to make huge, major splashes in free agency. And let's talk about some of these free agents, man. Kawhi Leonard, he can opt into his contract and become a free agent next year. He can opt in and extend his current contract. He could sign a new one, a short-term deal, or he could go sign a longer deal. He has a lot of options, Kawhi Leonard, and I think he has the Clippers in the palm of his hand, low-key. I don't even think that's low-key. I think everybody knows he got the Clippers in the palm of his hand, man. But me personally, I think he's going to stay with the Clippers, especially because he's a little hurt now. He's definitely going to have to go through rehab this summer, we know. I think he's probably going to miss some time to start the season, as I talked about before. But I think he's going to sign a 3-year deal, re-sign a 3-year deal with the Clippers, but probably an opt-out after 2, I would say. To me personally, I think that's something that Kawhi's going to do. I don't think he's going to leave. I don't think he's going to be asked to be traded because I think they're going to try to retool around him. So we'll see what he does moving forward. DeMar DeRozan, probably the biggest free agent available on the market this summer. He also has a lot of options. Lakers are looking at him, the Knicks, the Heat, the Clippers, and the Bulls. I think there's probably more suitors than that too when we talk about trades, when we talk about signing trades. So it's going to be really interesting where DeMar DeRozan ends up, because not saying that he can swing the balance of power anywhere that he goes, but he can definitely turn a good team to great. 100%. He could definitely turn a good team to great. So we'll see how he pursues free agency, what he thinks about free agency, what he values in free agency. Does he value that check? Does he value winning more? Can he let go a couple of dollars so that he can pursue a championship? We'll see. Another free agent on the market, Kyle Lowry, Chubbs. He's also going to be an interesting piece going in free agency because there's a lot of teams looking at him too. I'm not going to lie. I saw a report also as well that he was looking for upwards of $90 million for 3 years. That's a big hefty contract to give him, but I'm sure a lot of teams are willing to pay for that because a lot of teams are looking at how the Suns made their run to the finals and are saying, damn, if we have a young core, young talented core, all we need is a veteran point guard, a veteran mentor point guard who can get these young horses ready to go, show them how to win games. And who knows, anybody can make a run to the finals or a deep playoff run, maybe a first or second rounder. So I think a lot of teams are looking at Kyle Lowry as that guy, as Jimmy Butler was to the Heat, as CP was to the Suns, to be that veteran guy to give a young core that push over the top. So we'll see which teams are really going to make a crazy run for Kyle Lowry. CP can also opt out. I think he stays with the Suns. I think they retool that roster. I think he stays with them. I would say 3. It's going to be tough, but I would say 3 years. I think CP is going to re-up for maybe a 2 or 3 year deal. They have a nice chemistry with that team. I think they feel like it's going to be unfinished business going into next season. So I think he's going to re-sign. Mike Conley, sneakily, low-key could be on the move. The Jazz have a decision to make there. They could either retool with Conley or let him go. Maybe see if they can upgrade at that position. They could get a little bit younger. They maybe could get a little bit cheaper. Who knows what they do with Conley? That's going to be interesting there. John Collins. I think, well, he's a restricted free agent, but I think he actually stays with Atlanta. I think they go over the cap and they try to re-sign him by going over the cap. And I think they match any offer from any team that does try to give him a major offer. So I think they got to keep that core together, and it would be smart to keep that Atlanta core together because they look good, man. I'm not gonna lie, I was really rooting for that core because they were exceptional in this postseason. They really grew up and they really came together as a unit. So I like John Collins on that Hawks roster. So it'll be nice to see how that pans out. Lonzo, big ball away. I think my boy Zoe was on the move. I'm not gonna lie. I only see him on 3 teams going forward, all on the East Coast: Knicks, the Bulls, and the Hornets. I would say those are his 3 best spots. I think those are the 3 spots that he needs to be looking at the most, and he needs to be focusing in on the most are those 3 teams, because he's got to go from the Pelicans to me. I do like the core there with him, but I feel like not that he overstayed his welcome. I just feel like he would be more useful on another team, even though they just had a trade today. They got rid of Bledsoe and Steven Adams. They acquired Valanciunas on the Pelicans. And I forgot what number pick, but one of those picks they acquired. But I think Zoe does need to move on. I think he would be excellent for the Knicks, up in their pace. He'll be excellent for the Bulls, up in their pace, and the Hornets as well, playing over there with LaMelo. I would love to see that. And we see Jello over there already on the I believe the Hornets Summer League. So he's gonna get some time to actually try out for the Hornets. So I'm loving to see that. So I would love to get all 3 Ball brothers on the Hornets and let LeVar come in there and start screaming, man. That would be nice to see. I'm not gonna lie. Melo. Where Melo ends up will be interesting. I think it's either the Blazers, Knicks, or the Lakers if they move Kuz. I think Kuz is definitely hot on the Lakers roster to be moved. I think he definitely has to be moved too. If I'm judging by his fits that he wore all season, I think they got to move on from my man Kuz. I think another team might be able to use his services a little bit better. And I think it's Laker Nation. I feel like they've gone sour on Kuz. They do blame him a lot for their losses. So when that starts to happen, when the fan base starts to blame the player for every loss, when it's probably not even his fault half of the time, he's got to go. So I definitely think Kuz is going to be moved this summer because he's probably their most tradable asset for the Lakers. So we'll see what happens with him. If he moves, I think Melo will be the most likely replacement for him. We'll see how that goes. Dame Lillard, I don't think he's going to get traded. I know there was a lot of rumors rumbling with that. I think he's actually going to give the Blazers one this year to show him what they've got. I think he's going to give Chauncey Billups a chance to show him what he's got with the new offensive game plan, seeing how they utilize him a little bit better. So I don't think he's going to be moved. I think Dame is going to stay. Ben Simmons, it's going to be interesting there because I honestly don't know how that's going to go. We saw in the playoffs when it matters most, Ben Simmons.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
He definitely wasn't that guy, especially at the free throw line, especially not in the fourth quarter. He was not that guy. But he's still an exceptional player. He still can impact the game in many ways. It's really weird to see if he will be traded, and it's really tough to call because his trade value is gauged differently from every team. Different teams value him differently, so different teams will be willing to give up different things for a Ben Simmons. So it's going to be difficult to trade him if to get adequate value. I think value that they think, talking about the Sixers, that they think is adequate enough for him. So in that case, if they don't feel like they got the right package, I think they probably will just keep him, because I don't think they have a problem keeping Ben Simmons either. I think they feel like they need to retool as well with the 76ers and not necessarily move Ben Simmons, but add another playmaker on that team to alleviate the responsibility of scoring on Ben Simmons, or relying on him to score, I would say. So I think it's 50-50 on that Ben Simmons. It's going to be interesting, man. I'm going to have another free agency episode because there's going to be a lot of rumblings definitely throughout this week now. So it's going to be interesting to see how free agency plays out, man. Definitely keep it tuned on that. Team USA. Oh, man, they lost to France. Come on, fellas. Can't lose in the first game. They lost 83-76. Team USA, they scored below 80 points only once in the last 56 Olympic Games. Ridiculous. Come on, fellas. They got to do better than that. They just got to play a little bit better. They scored 76. That's definitely not enough for an offensive juggernaut. Not too much else to say on Team USA other than they got to be better. It's not about the individual play with this team. They just need to figure out how to play as a unit, man. Team USA, just be better. The draft is on Thursday. Will be interesting to see who the Detroit Pistons pick with that number 1 pick. Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Evan Mobley. But I think they're going to go with Cade Cunningham, man. All indications seem to be pointing towards that they're going with him, and he should take him. He'll be the right pick for the Pistons, and moving forward, he'll be a nice building block for them. They have Sadiq Bey still over there still as well. So Jeremy Grant. So they still got some pieces over there in the Pistons. Let's see if they do make that move. I would say they should probably keep that number 1 pick and draft that number 1 pick. We'll see how that goes moving forward. Space Jam. Oh, my Lord. Real quick before we get on out of here, man. It was all right. Listen, man, it was for the kids, family. It was for the kids, man. Listen, I wasn't expecting an Oscar-worthy performance, an Oscar-worthy plot or storyline or anything like that, even though it was a little basic. You know, the visuals looked nice. The cameos were cool. But LeBron James, the actor?
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
You're definitely not that guy. I appreciate the efforts, though. Space Jam was needed for the culture, my brother. It was a good movie. Family needs it. The kids need it. Acting, I feel you. Ending it on a positive note, family. Shout out to all black coaches that's been hired this summer. Shout out Jamal Mosley in Orlando, Jay Kidd, Wes Unseld Jr., Udoka in Boston, Chauncey in Portland. That's what Nate McMillan re-signing over there in Atlanta. That's what I'm talking about. We love to see it. Hopefully those brothers stay and keep their jobs more than 1 year and keep those multi-year deals going. We love to see it, man. Family, I appreciate y'all as always joining me. Keep reaching out to me. Keep engaging. Keep basketball sparring with me. Keep it locked on the best NBA pod in the game. This is episode 147, family, and we out.